everyone, this is Vanessa Gertman from Alpuscast. Welcome back to the Fireplace series. Today we're going to be starting with tasks, and specifically in this video we're going to create tasks for our projects. If you take a look at the live version of Fireplace, you can see what tasks are eventually going to be. So you can see I'm right now looking at an individual project of mine, and I'll be able to create a task, and tasks can be marked as completed or they're still in the not completed state. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to need is an actual entity and a migration for tasks. And just like in earlier lessons, we're going to use an Alpus command to do that. We're going to use that -m flag so we get a migration as well. All right, that created both our task file and our migration file. And in looking at this, a couple good things are already in here for us. The ID, created at, updated at, those are all good. We don't really need a name for this entity, so I'm going to delete that. And then we need to add a few things for tasks. So the first thing we're going to add is a body field. We'll call it body, and it's going to be a string, and we'll make it a text field. Okay, the next thing we want to add is a Boolean, which is going to let us know if a task is completed or not. I'm going to set the default to false, because when you make a task, it makes sense that it's not done yet, unless you're like me and you like to make to-do lists that are already done, so you feel more accomplished. Okay, great. The last thing a task needs is a reference to the project that owns it. And this is going to look very similar to project, the owner property that was in there. We're going to be using that belongs to. Perfect. Now let's actually run our migration. All right, awesome. So now that's in our table. We're going to need a controller for all of our task routes, so let's make that now. All right, and let's add our create route to the routes file. And just like with projects, we're going to have quite a few task routes eventually, so I'm going to use a function to keep this routes file looking nice and clean. The way I want to be calling this is going to look something like /projects, the ID of a project, so like let's say 23 for example, and then tasks / whatever route needs to be. So because of that, I'm going to call add task routes inside of the project group. And like we just talked about, we're going to have the project and then tasks. It's going to be the route for everything. And the route we're going to add right now is the create route, which is going to be a post. All right, so let's add the store function to our TasksController. And actually, we're not going to be needing an index function, so I'm just going to take over this one for right now. And just like with creating projects, this logic is a little complicated. We need some validation. So I'm going to use the validation guard to keep our controller nice and clean. And we'll go with create task guard. All right, let's start with the rules section. As we said earlier, tasks need to have a body, so that's got to be coming from the request. And we're going to be sending that as JSON. So we can actually use the Alpus helper method here, JSON field, which then takes a list of other rules. And in our case, we said it was going to be required. So now we need a function to actually create and store the task, and let's call that commit. And it's going to return a task. All right, so we're gonna need a body, as we said. And it's gonna be in JSON, so it's gonna be coming from the JSON body. And the field name is body. And then we need the project ID. And that should be coming in from the call as a parameter. So call dot long param project. And just a reminder, this project, this word here, goes with what is in our route group here. All right, so now we need to call this from the store function. And we're going to say call dot validate using our guard. And then after that, call the commit function. And then I want to return the task we made, just in case the caller needs it. And we're going to use reply as JSON, the task. And you'll notice this is red, and that's because reply as JSON needs task to implement an interface in order to do this. So that's JSON serializable. So to JSON. And we can just use a JSON serializer. I'm using the wrong JSON serializable, sorry. We need the Alpus version. And then this should also be the Alpus version. Okay, there we go. So that looks good. Let's see if our controller looks nice now. It does, not red anymore. And I know the way that I want to fetch our tasks is from a project itself. So we need to update project to have a reference to its tasks. So we're gonna add a property here, which is just called tasks. And now we're gonna be able to use the function that corresponds to belongs to in our case, which is has many. And it has many tasks. There you go. So now project has a list of its tasks. Okay, great. So that's most of the back end working now. We have to actually update the project show to display the tasks for a project. So let's do that. So I know I'm going to add a section down here to actually show the tasks. And to keep this view nice and clean, we're going to make a view component. So that's going to be in resources, JS components. And this will just be called tasks. And again, I'm just going to copy and paste this code from the repo I'm linking below, so you can also get this code. In addition to the task view, I'm going to add another file, which is going to be a JS file. And we're going to call that form. Okay, and then one thing that's really easy to forget, but you need to make sure you do when you add a new view component, is to actually register the component. For us, that's happening in the app.js file. There's actually an example of it already, and we're going to just steal that. So instead of welcome, tasks. And let's just talk a little bit about what's in this view. Basically, we're looping through all of our tasks and displaying them. And then there's the actual form to create the task itself, which is going to be going to that endpoint we just made, /project, /this project ID, /tasks. And it's using a post. And now let's add that new component to our project show file. Great, so this should be everything we need. Let's go ahead and run it and see if it's working. So we're going to do a yarn watch and run. Okay, we'll click on our project. And now you'll see tasks and a place to add a task. So let's do that. Awesome, now we have tasks. This is great. So in the next lesson, we're going to be adding the ability to delete tasks. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.